Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make the case for LeRoy Butler to be in the Hall of Fame because it is absolutely ridiculous that he's not. All right. So let's just slide back, put on a pot of coffee, open a cold brew, whatever you need to do, and listen to me now. Because it is absolutely absurd that LeRoy Butler is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Butler recorded 38 interceptions, forced 13 fumbles, recovered 10 of them. The man forced 13 fumbles, recovered 10 of them. 721 tackles and 20 and a half sacks. 20 and a half sacks as a safety in the 90s. He was named to the Pro Bowl 4 times, selected as an All-Pro 4 times, was a part of the 1990s All-Decade team, and was enshrined in the Packers Hall of Fame in 2007. In addition to all of these accomplishments, he also invented the Lambeau Leap. All right? I'm just getting started, people. The league started compiling sacks in 1982. And in those 38 years, only 4 players have at least 35 interceptions and 20 sacks. Since 1982, only 4 guys have done that. Butler, Charles Woodson, Brian Dawkins, who just went in a couple years ago, and Rondé Barber. LeRoy Butler is also now, as of last year, the only offensive or defensive player from the 1990s All-Decade team who has yet to be enshrined. Oh, by the way, same people picked that team that are supposedly the arbiters of whatever the Hall of Fame is. Only guy on the 1990s All-Decade team who isn't in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I just add this little bit of color. It is indisputable that the Packers were among the NFL's top teams in the 1990s, and that Butler was undoubtedly the 3rd best player on that team. You have Brett Favre, you have Reggie White, and then you have LeRoy Butler. Of the 6 teams that dominated the 90s, Buffalo, Dallas, Denver, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco, only the Packers have fewer than 3 players in the Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's a
Think about that. From those teams.
That's crazy.
From those teams. All right, you want to talk about comparisons. We want to talk about comparisons because we know John Lynch also made semifinalists. So those comparisons are about to all come out, right? Butler, 4 times a first-team All-Pro. 4 times. First team All-Pro. John Lynch, twice. Butler, 20 and a half sacks. John Lynch, 13. Butler, 38 interceptions. John Lynch, 26. Butler, 14 forced fumbles. Lynch, 16. Butler, 10 fumble recoveries. Lynch, 9. Butler did all that in 43 fewer games. 43 fewer times stepping on the football field. Butler beat him in almost every statistical category. Yeah, you're going to talk about putting in John Lynch before LeRoy Butler? All right, and as far as Butler and Atwater, who obviously those two have been in, kind of the horse race, so to speak, from those 90s teams. Atwater went in last year prior to Butler, which was absolutely absurd on its face. Yeah. If for no other reason than the fact that LeRoy Butler ushered in the versatility of the safety position that still lives today. Butler was the guy who laid the groundwork for all of that. Atwater was a big hitter. Everyone remembers his big hits, but it's not even close when you compare, because everyone wants to talk about stats. Whenever I bring up anybody for the Hall of Fame, all anyone leaps to is statistical comparisons. Atwater was in 8 Pro Bowls compared to Butler's 4. That's fine. Butler was named first team All-Pro, a much more prestigious honor, 4 times compared to Atwater's 2. Atwater in the Hall of Fame. Butler played 12 seasons, Atwater 11 at roughly the same time period. So these comparisons are very valid. Butler had more interceptions, more sacks, more forced fumbles, more fumble recoveries, and more touchdowns. That thing where you put points on the board, Butler did it more than Atwater in every one of those categories. Butler and Atwater each played in 14 playoff games. 14 playoff games. Win or go home situations. Butler had 3 takeaways and 3 sacks Atwater had one of each. So if you take nothing else away from the couple of minutes I have utilized of your life at this moment, just know that LeRoy Butler not being in the Hall of Fame right now is an absolute joke. And if they put in John Lynch or some other dude or whatever before Butler this year, the Pro Football Hall of Fame continues to be irrelevant. And that's all I have to say about that.